Om. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu me Sada. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Paramananda Madhavam. All right. So today's class will start a little differently. Something has come to me, so we will do that. But it's all in relation to Bhagavad Gita. Today is also Valentine's Day. So I heard a very nice quote that life is a love story between us and God. Life is a love story between us and God. And whatever we will speak about today is how things work in the world, but also how things work with God. And hopefully by today, we'll have a clear understanding of the twofold path of Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, and also where we are as seekers. When we listen to the Bhagavad Gita, one portion is studying what Lord Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, which is extremely important. But the next important step, which sometimes we fail to do, is to see where we are in our own lives and see what else we have to do to evolve to a higher state. So as I said, life is a love story between us and God. And every love story, if we think about it, has these 4 stages. The 4 stages are, 1 is questioning, the 2nd is learning, 3rd is knowing, and 4th is being. So first, let's take a child. A child comes into this world, and a child weeps and cries and questions. There are many, many things that the child wonders. And the child, unfortunately, cannot ask. Cannot ask because cannot speak yet, right? So the only way for the child to say anything is to cry. And when the child comes out, the child cries and wondering, where did I end up? What is this place? What's happening to me? And who are these people around me? And what am I supposed to be doing here? Why am I here? All kinds of questions come to this child. And so the child feels, in a sense, a little lost. And slowly, as the child grows, the child then comes into the next stage, which is the stage of learning. The mother and father say, this is your name. They tell the child, this is your name. So let's say the child's name is Sagar, or the child's name is Srishti. You are Sagar, you are Srishti. The mother or father will tell the child. And the mother and father will tell the child, I am your mama, I am your papa, I am your mother, I am your father. And they will introduce these terms to the child. You are Sagar. You are Srishti. I am Mama. I am Papa, like that. And they will introduce the child to the different spaces and places in the home. This is a desk. This is a chair. This is a banana, and this is the nose. This is the eyes, and all kinds of things. The parents will tell the child, like, this is what this is. So the second stage is the child is taking in so much information and just learning what everything really is. And it's in this stage where the child's fascinated, and trying to understand and grasp everything. And sometimes the child gets it, but sometimes the child also doesn't get it. Sometimes the child forgets it. Sometimes, we have to repeat. Think of how many times the parents had to repeat to the child. This is banana, not apple. This is banana, not apple. This is nose, not eyes. So many times. Or this is Sagar, you are Sagar. And the child can't even really say his name properly, right? So a lot of repetition will be there from the parents. Slowly, as the child grows, to the next stage then is of knowing. Now the child knows. I am Srishti, I am Sagar, this is my mom, this is my dad, this is my house, desk, space, this is nose, eyes. Child knows everything. Nobody needs to tell the child anything. Nobody needs to show the child anything. The child knows it really, really well. And so the child is very confident, can roam about here and there, no questions really. And the child enjoys life. But as the child matures, the child's not always going to be with the parents. There's a time and a point where the child will have to leave. And so the child, as the child grows up, eventually leaves the parents' home. And when they leave, that stage is called being. It means that they're completely independent, being on their own. And everything that they've now learned, everything that they've learned from their parents, they are going to apply in their own lives. That doesn't mean the relationship is broken, but it just means that now the child can independently live freely in this world. Is responsible enough to live freely. So this is how the child grows and evolves. Now, what about a husband and wife relationship or partner relationship? So what happens? The first stage is also questioning, especially when you first meet your partner. What is he like? What is she like? I wonder where she's from, where he's from, what his family is like, how much money is he making, what's her job, what's her position, all these kinds of things. There's a lot of questioning involved, because you don't know the person yet. You're still kind of getting to know the person. So first is questioning. Then slowly, you get to the stage of learning. You get to the stage of learning now. Okay, I know now he likes to go to these kinds of places. I know she likes this kind of food. He likes this kind of company. She likes this kind of weather. So you sort of get to know what each one likes, how each one is also. You know that, okay, now, I think she might need to be quiet. I could be wrong, or I think she might need to be left alone, but I'm not 100% sure, or sometimes I think he's a little bit tired, but I'm not sure. So you're still learning about your partner, whoever your partner may be. You're still learning, gauging your partner. This is how to interact with my in-laws. This is how to deal with this family thing. And then slowly, you get to the stage of knowing. That's when you know your partner really well. Now, right now, do not talk to your partner. Now is not the time to approach them. Or, you know, right now, your partner needs attention. You better give your partner attention. Or right now, your partner's angry because you did not compliment what they did. You don't even appreciate them, you know? So you know, just by the look in their face, you know what mood they're in. Just by the tone of their voice, you know what they're gonna say, you know? Just by the way they're walking, you know what's in their mind. This is, you know them so well and you have no doubt. So much so that when you go to a restaurant, you know exactly what they're gonna order. This is what they're gonna eat, that's it. Very, very clear, crystal clear knowledge of your partner. So that's the stage of knowing, very crystal clear. Then you come to the stage of being. There's also a stage when you and your partner slowly now have to focus on higher practices, higher spiritual practices, on seeking deeper, on reflection and contemplation. So there's also a stage where now you also have to spend time to contemplate on your own or read and reflect. And slowly, slowly that emerges and the relationship actually becomes deeper. Just like when the child leaves the home, the relationship with the parents become deeper. So too, when the husband and the wife slowly evolve spiritually, the relationship becomes deeper. And this is the love story that we see in a child, in a husband and wife. Now, like that, with God, there's also a love story. There's also a love story. And this now we will see in a little bit more technical terms, but I'll tell you first simply, then we can see all of the details. The first stage with God is that questioning. Every seeker comes, you know, to the forefront, to the door, saying, I'm not content with my life. I'm not content with my life. And it's just so much questioning. What do I need to do to feel complete? I have gone through so much. I've tried so many different things. I've tried karma yoga, bhakti yoga, ashtanga yoga. I went to visit so many ashrams. I went to see so many gurus, but I'm broken inside. I'm broken inside. I'm not getting what I want from this world. And I feel like there is more. I feel like there's so much more to life, but I don't know what it is. I don't know where to go also. And I need help. I need help. And so this is the first stage where a seeker comes into the door of seeking. This deep sense of questioning. It's in your heart there. And the second stage now is when the seeker finds a teacher and is able to listen to this truth. Second stage of learning, was able to listen to this truth. And the teacher says to this seeker, listen, you are greater than you could even imagine yourself to be. You are Brahman. You are that infinite reality, your pure awareness, consciousness. And that seeker's trying to get a grasp of it. Sometimes it's there, it's so alive, but sometimes it's not. It's almost like it's almost like the dawn, you know, the dawn or flickering light. It's almost like that flickering light. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not there. Gets a grasp, but doesn't get a grasp. And so still is still, you know, still wondering, still learning, like how the husband and wife are still learning about each other, how the child is still learning about who he is or who she is. Then slowly, slowly, the seeker comes into knowing. That knowledge that the teacher gives becomes so crystal clear that there's no doubt. There's no doubt whatsoever. And the seeker begins to know so well, so clearly who they are, and starts to see changes in their lives, starts to feel this knowledge in their lives. And that's their stage of knowing. And then after that, comes the stage of being, wherein the seeker doesn't need to be reminded anymore of who they are, what they are. Nothing needs to be said to them. They just remain as themselves. And in fact, they are no more a seeker. They just are. So these are the stages that we go through in life. Now I'm going to show you a spreadsheet with a little bit more detail, and we can see where we fall. We can see where Arjuna is. We can see how everything ties in together in this chapter. So this is kind of making clear how Lord Krishna said there's a twofold path. There's a path of Karma Yoga and there's a path of Sankhya or Jnana Yoga. All right. So I'll share this with you. And don't take notes or anything like that. I'll share it with you. I just want you to pay full attention. Okay? So here we go. So here now, let me just see if I can make this bigger. I think some of you might want it a little bit bigger. All right. So here, what's happening in life in the first stage? So as I said, now we will go lengthwise, okay? So just follow me. Seekers practicing karma, bhakti, ashtanga yoga, you're doing some good things in their life, and they have some purity of mind and God's grace. But, sometimes they don't question strong enough. The questioning has to be strong enough that it sets us on a quest. So the questioning must be that strong. And so one keeps on engaging on these practices. And then slowly, one will I feel like there's something deeper in life. And I want to know what that is. I want to know what that is. And this stage, if we see according to Yoga Vasishta, it's called Shubhecha. Shubhecha means auspicious resolve. Why is it auspicious? Because now I know that there's something deeper and I actually want to pursue it. This person is a sadhaka or a seeker. And the world still to this person is very much alive and real. And so, as I said, this person is trying to find places where to get answers from. And this person, you can say, maybe still sees darkness. And one still has the feeling of bondage. Okay? So now I think this much is enough. Then the next one, the rest we can do a little later. First, you get this idea. Now, the second one. So once the student, the seeker, finds a teacher, comes to Shravanam, the student feels, I heard this knowledge and I got a glimpse of it. I got a glimpse that I am Brahman and the world is an appearance in me. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. I got a great glimpse. And this happened because there's some purity of mind there and because of God's grace also. And that's Shravana and Manana. What's missing? Still more purity of mind is missing. Still more clarity of knowledge is required. So what should one do? Keep doing all of the other yogas and engage in Shravana, Manana, and Nidhyasana, because the knowledge has to be clear, really clear. Just like how that child, he has to be told again, you are Sagar, you are Sagar, you are Sagar. This is mom, this is dad. Child has to be told again and again and again and again, because sometimes he doesn't pronounce it right or he forgets it. Or sometimes Srishti also, you are Srishti, you are Srishti. She also forgets. So again, it has to be repeated again and again and again. So what's the challenge or what's the litmus test here? I got a glimpse. As I said, it's like that lightning, or you can say it's like a disco light. It's shining, but it's going, So it's like lightning, it's like a disco light. It's not so incredibly clear yet, And this is called Paroksha Jnana because this still feels remote to me. It still feels like it's not there yet. It's something different. I know you're talking about Brahman, but I'm not internalizing it yet. And so this person is called the sadhaka. Okay, so the world is waking for them. And so I found the answer. I found it. I found the teacher. I found the scriptures. I found the answer, but I'm not able to fully grasp it yet. And these are the questions that one will have in this stage. How can I be Brahman? How can the world be false? Am I really, really free? How could this be? So the student will ask these questions. So if here somebody was in darkness, here it's like the sun at dawn. So you can see, but not see so clearly. So in these two stages now, they fall under the realm of karma yoga. Okay, so here one still has the feeling of bondage, but sees changes in their lives. So what is prescribed for this student? Karma yoga. Karma yoga is prescribed because the mind still needs more purity. That is why. And the knowledge is not clear, crystal clear yet. And slowly sattva dominates. So here you can see sattva rises slowly, and here it dominates. And so the example here is Arjuna. This is exactly where Arjuna is right now. Of course, towards the end of the Gita, Arjuna is in a different place, but right now Arjuna is here. So if we want an example from the scriptures, this is Arjuna. And most of us fall in this stage. We fall on the stage where it's a glimpse for us. It's coming and going. Okay. Now what happens slowly, slowly? One slowly evolves, and it's a process of evolution. As I said, you don't go back. You walk slowly, and it happens. Here in Sankhya Yoga, now, what's happening? How do you know you've entered into Sankhya or Jnana Yoga? Because there's this crystal clear knowledge. Like how for the child, she says, I am Srishti, I have no doubt. I am Sagar, I have no doubt. Like for the husband and wife, they have crystal clear knowledge of each other. Aparoksha Jnana. I know what he likes to eat. I know what she likes to eat. I know where he likes to go. I know where she likes to go. I know, when she wants to do this. I know when he wants to do that. You know about each other so well. It's so clear. You have no doubt. And so in the same way, you have this crystal clear, or we have this crystal clear knowledge that I am Brahman and the world is an appearance for me. Now, how did somebody get there? A lot of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana also, and God's grace. So that purity of mind, that clarity of knowledge, that Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, all of that effort from this stage carried over, and it really reaped its result. Now, what's missing here? So could be that the knowledge is not so steady yet, just like for a husband and wife, they might know each other so well, but it could be there might be some argument still or some disagreement still, right? Or even if the child knows exactly who they are, still there could be some questioning. So here, it's this abidance that's missing. So what should one focus on? So the focus here is different. Focus here is called Brahmabhyasa. And that is really Vasana Kshaya. That is really working on oneself, but understanding that this is all a play. This is all an appearance. And Manonasha, or here in Manonasha means Samadhi, the practice of Samadhi. So how do I know I've reached here? I'm very clear about this knowledge and convinced, very, very clear. And I see this knowledge manifesting in my life to some extent. And this is called aparoksha jnana. This is direct knowledge because I know for sure. And this person is called Brahmavid or Jnani. And for them, the world is like a dream. It's like a dream. It's not like waking state, it's like a dream. And so what happens is this person knows, but sometimes vasanas remain. So sometimes those vasanas will kick in, like the vasanas of doership and enjoyership. They know it's false and it's falsified, but sometimes it still kicks in. And so there's still self-telling. Why are you feeling this? You're not the ego. Why are you, feeling so bummed out? You're not the doer. There's all this still self-telling that happens with one's mind. Oh, and they know it's false. So the question here is very different. It's not how can I be Brahman and how is the world false. So why am I still not steady? How come I am still getting shaken up here? That means some more work is required. So here, the sun has risen. You can see the sun has risen. And here is where you have mukti. One realizes that they were ever free. One was never bound. They were ever free. And one will not come back. At the end of this life, one will not come back anymore. So this is a very beautiful place to be in. Now, the reason why this person is in Jnana Yoga is because now the world is seen to be false. It's seen to be a dream. So this doership, enjoyership is not strong. It's not there. It's falsified. So here, it's not really karma yoga. They perform action without doership. So it's more naishkarmya, that naishkarmya, which we saw in verse number 4. This is that naishkarmya. So they are seen to be acting in the world. They're seen to be acting in the world, doing in the world, but it's all without doership and enjoyership. Because Bhagavan is essentially acting through them. And so they do feel a great sense of bliss. Well, they are the source of bliss. That is one thing. But also the mind has become very sattvic. An example of this person we see is Yajnavalkya. In Jivan Mukti Viveka, this is taken up, that Yajnavalkya is a knower of the self. He's definitely a knower of the self. But he still had what we call Vidya Mada. He had the pride of knowledge. And so there was a debate. In King Janaka's court, he called all of the people and he said, well, all the great knowers of the land, please come. And Yajnavalkya came. And he said, whoever can answer these questions, they will take the cows. He had 1,000 cows. And in each of the cows, there was gold, a bag of gold coins tied to the cows. Yajnavalkya came and said, told his disciples, take all the cows. I'll answer the questions. So he did. He was a great knower of the self, but still a little bit of pride was there. And that's why later on, he also renounces that. And you can see that in Maitreya Brahmana in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Okay, now we come to here. So you can see now who has entered into the Jnana Yoga. And it's an evolution. Now this one is after when one becomes steady, we say they are sthita prajna and they are liberated while living. Well, how did they get there? They, of course, knowledge of the self, tattva jnana. Manonasha here means samadhi, and vasanakshaya, a lot of working on themselves. And here, the ego is missing. It literally is God functions through them. So what should one focus on? Nothing. Don't focus on anything. because that ego is missing. It's literally like God has come to stay there. God is living there. Hmm? And what is the litmus test? How do we know if we've reached here? Sthita Prajna Lakshana, verses 2.54 to 2.72, which we took in chapter 2. This is the litmus test. How do we know we're here? This stage is called Jnana Nishta, Jivan Mukti, self-realization or enlightenment. This is what this stage is called. And this person is called Jivan Mukta, Sthita Prajna, Gunatita, Bhagavad Bhakta. This Gunatita will come in chapter 14, and Bhagavad Bhakta will come in chapter 12. The world to this person, this Jivan Mukta, sometimes it's like dream, sometimes it's like deep sleep. So that's how they see this world. You remember that Yanisha Sarva Bhutana, Tasyam Jagarti Samyami. And so that which is night to all beings, that to that Sthita Prajna, one is awake, and that to which the Sthita Prajna is awake is night to all beings. What are the challenges? Here, there's no one to get challenged because that ego is gone and there's no self-telling. Life becomes very, very natural, very effortless. And so there are no more questions. No more questions here. Huh? An example here is like the high noon sun. It's so incredibly bright. And one realizes that they were ever free. Of course, they will not come back anymore. And also they enjoy the bliss of the self, and they enjoy that sattva of the mind. Yeah. Of course, there is no one to enjoy, but that mind, that falsified ego rather, enjoys the falsified mind, the purity of that falsified mind. And there's action without doership, what we call naishkarmya. So as I said, the bliss, I am of the nature of Sat, Chit, Ananda, and my mind is also Anandamaya. So highest degree of sattva in the mind. And of course here, for examples, are saints and sages, Gurudev, Swami Tapovan Maharaj Ji, Anandamayi Ma. So many are there, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Ji, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi Ji. So many are there. They are Sthita Prajna. So this is the evolution of every individual. It sort of falls into these brackets. And this, if we understand this, the Bhagavad Gita will become easy, because this concept again will come in the 6th chapter and other chapters. It will keep coming again and again. So if we understand that it's a twofold path and who is qualified for what path, then everything makes sense. All right. Now I will just stop sharing this for a moment. Okay. All right. Now I will just pause for a moment here, the recording. Okay. Suganaji, now I will come to you later on. Okay. All right. So now let us go ahead. Now that you have this whole concept, this whole structure in your mind, now we go from there. Okay. So let us read from verse 4, and we will read to verse number 8, and then we will pick up from there. Okay. Na karmana manarambhat naishkarmyam purushoshnute na cha sanyasanadeva siddhim samadhigacchati nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krita karyate hyavashah karma sarva prakriti jairgunaihi karmendriyani samyamya Ya aste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mithyacharasa uchyate yastvendriyani manasa niyamyarabhate arjuna karmendriyai karmayogam asaktasya vishishyate niyatam kuru karmatvam karmajyayo hyakarmanaha sharirayatra tichate na prasidhyet akarmanaha. Okay, so now we connect everything together. Arjuna, in the opening of chapter 3, said, now, Lord Krishna, you have praised Jnana Yoga so much. Why are you telling me to engage in Karma Yoga? So therefore, Arjuna says, I am confused. Why are you doing this to me? And Lord Krishna says in verse number 3, there is a twofold path. Karma Yoga for the yogis, Sankhya Yoga for the jnanis. And we just explored the twofold path and said, although Arjuna, the main goal, yes, you are right, is to get to Jnana Yoga. First, the mind must be purified, prepared well, and that can be done through Karma Yoga. And hence, Arjuna, in your particular state right now, for you, the best thing would be Karma Yoga. Therefore, engage in it. But Arjuna feels, but actionlessness is so, it's glorified. Actionlessness, he's thinking renunciation. When people renounce the world and they leave everything, there's such glory in that. And in verse 4, Lord Krishna says, actionlessness doesn't mean not doing anything. Actionlessness really means there's no doership involved. There's no doership. It means that the action does not come out of ignorance. It comes out of fulfillment. So your notion of actionlessness is not what you think it is. And actually, in verse number 5, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, nobody in this world can exist without doing any action. Even the one who has renounced this world still acts, right? They still act. We've seen that. Because even sleeping, there's activity going on, digestion's going on, breathing is going on. Even in samadhi or sitting, breathing, digestion, all these functions are going on. So even if one is seen to renounce the world and to go away, still they're acting. And you can't sit in samadhi all the time. You have to get up. Standing up is an action. Sitting down is an action. Lying down is an action. So nobody can exist without acting. Not anybody, not at all, and not even for a moment can anyone exist without action. So then he tells him, then Arjuna says, but maybe I can bypass Karma Yoga and just go straight to Jnana Yoga. Is that a possibility? I mean, if you're saying that's the state, right? That's the ultimate state to be in, the one who knows the self, the one who revels the self. Why can't I just go there directly? Why can't I take a direct flight? Why do I have to take stop over here and stop over there and stop over here? It's too long. So Lord Krishna says, because you will be a hypocrite or a mithyachara. Who is a mithyachara or a hypocrite? He says, somebody who lives in denial, thinks that they are ready for renunciation. And so they give up so many things. They live a simple life. They minimize everything. But when they're sitting down quietly, what are they thinking of? They're thinking of all of the objects of the world. That is called mithyachara. Somebody who just denies things, lives in denial. And they sit down and they just do Vishaya Dhyana, Vishaya Chintana, thinking about the world. That's called mithyachara. So Lord Krishna says, Arjuna, you can't bypass that. You have to go through karma yoga. You cannot just go to Jnana yoga. And so in verse number 7, he says, whoever controls the senses by the mind and engages in karma yoga, that person alone excels. Because that person is not living in denial, that person is unfolding, right? So those of you who are in the Bhaja Govindam class, we saw this very beautifully on Saturday. That spiritual life is not indulging in so much sense pleasure that one forgets their purpose here. And spiritual life is not denial and suppression, but spiritual life is an unfoldment. It's evolving, it's growing through every stage and very naturally. What if a question might come to a seeker? What if I want to speed up this process of growth? What if, yes, you said I must evolve naturally, but what if I want to speed up this process of growth? The best way to speed up the process of growth is through satsang. Immerse yourself in satsang. Immerse yourself in the company with the wise, in readings, in video, in audio, in whatever you can. And just by being in that company, one becomes inspired to move and to walk faster. So it's not that anybody should force us to walk faster. Our own inspiration should do it. And that inspiration can be kindled when we are in that company, the company of the wise. So he says the person who really unfolds, goes through this karma yoga, purifies themselves, savishishyate, that person excels. And therefore, Arjuna, in verse number 8, he says, you asked me what you should do. I'm telling you now, verse number 8, niyatam kuru karma tvam. You do your niyata karma. That's what you should do. What is this niyata karma again? So remember last week, we saw the 4 types of karma. Nitya karma means our daily duties given to us as per our rules. Naimittika karma means our occasional duties that, let's say, if we're part of a community or society, we have to do it. We have to do certain things. And kamya karma means our own selfish, desire-prompted activities or actions. And nishiddha karma means prohibited actions. So when we have these, our own selfish desires, they're called kamya karma. But they're selfish desires, we do them within the realm of dharma, that's called kamya karma. The moment we cross the realm of dharma, that's nishiddha karma or prohibited karma. So this niyatam karma means nitya and naimittika, my daily and occasional duties. And Lord Krishna says, stick to these 2. Niyatam kuru karma tva. Why? Karma jyayo hya karmanaha. The performance of action is much better than the non-performance of action or being lazy. Now imagine if somebody did not engage in any action and somebody just remained lazy. What would happen to this person? First of all, what happens to a lazy person is that whatever gifts and abilities that God has given them to shine, they're not making use of it. So they might have so much talent, so much ability, so much greatness, but all those gifts are completely lost because one is not using them to help themselves or to help other people. And we also know that if we don't use something, we will lose it. If we don't use our memory, we will lose it. If we don't use our skills, any skill that we have, it will go only. And we will become very dull and inert. And what happens to people who are lazy is their self-confidence goes down because they've lost their ability to think, ability to act, their creativity, their talent. They've lost that. So the self-confidence goes down. And then depression starts to kick in because there's that feeling of insecurity. they feel lower than other people. And not only that, but Lord Krishna says, Sharira yatra api, you need karma. Sharira yatra api cha, te na prasiddhyet akarmana. That means the maintenance of the body, Sharira yatra, is not possible if one sticks to inaction. So we know that the body disintegrates, it's dharma, right? Shiryamanatvat shariram means that which decays is called body. That which decays is called body. So you don't do anything with the body, it will decay. It will go down, it will decay, etc. So if we don't take care of it, if we don't exercise, if we don't eat healthy, if we don't work, all kinds of issues will kick in. Obesity kicks in, or if we're eating too much, sometimes diabetes will kick in, or sometimes we're not moving a muscle enough, so some cramps and things like that will kick in. Indigestion will kick in because we have not moved, we have not walked. So constipation will happen. So all health issues happen when we do not act, when we just sit idly, not doing anything with our lives. Our health will suffer, our qualities, our talents will be dormant, will not serve the world, and we become a burden to society and a burden to our relationships. In relationships also, people feel like they don't want to be with you because you're not doing anything. So there is this person's here, but this person's not doing anything. There's this kind of agitation there in relationships. And the whole society has to pull in for this person. That's why in Sanskritam it says, Alasya Mahan Ripuhu. Laziness is the greatest enemy, because that lazy person becomes a burden to everybody. So here Lord Krishna says, Arjuna, take out inaction from your mind. Even to maintain your body, even to maintain your welfare, you must act. So get up and act. So Arjuna says, okay, I have to act now. So in verse number 8, perform your bounden duty, for action is superior to inaction. Even the maintenance of the body would not be possible for you by inaction. Now the question comes, but in what spirit should Arjuna perform actions, or in what spirit should we perform actions? So let us see now verse number 9. Yajñarthat karmanonyatra.
Yajñarthat karmanonyatra.
Lokoyam karma bandhanaha.
Lokoyam karma bandhanaha.
Tadartham karma kaunteya.
Tadartham karma kaunteya.
Mukta sanga samachara.
Mukta sanga samachara.
Yajñarthat karmanonyatra. Lokoyam karma bandhanaha. Tadartham karma kaunteya. Mukta sanga samachara. So Arjuna has a doubt, right? Because normally actions can bind us. We do an action and we get bound to another action, we get bound to another action. It is like this wheel, this cycle of birth and death. So Arjuna is feeling that if I perform action, am I not going to go through this whole bondage? I mean, if you just look at karma, karma binds in itself. Karma takes time. Just to act, to do something, it takes so much time. Karma takes up resources. Just to start something, to continue something, to keep it moving. How many people are required? How many resources? How many abilities are required? So it seems like so many things are required for action. If we keep acting, won't it only lead to bondage? Won't we dive into action? And so remember, yoga karmasu kaushalam. There is a way to perform action without being bound by it. And this is the spirit of yajna. This is what's spoken about in this verse. He says, yajnarthat means for the sake of sacrifice, karmanaha. So perform actions for the sake of sacrifice. Anyatra ayam lokaha karma bandhanaha. Otherwise, this, lokaha here means man or person, karma bandhanaha, will be bound by actions. So perform actions for the sake of yajna or sacrifice, otherwise one will be bound by actions. Tad aritham, for the sake of yajna, karma samachara, perform actions. How? Mukta sangaha, free from all attachment. Kaunteya, O Arjuna. The world is bound by actions other than those performed for the sake of sacrifice. Do thou, therefore, O son of Kunti, perform action for that sake alone, free from all attachment. Okay, so now let us see. We see a little bit, whatever we can see, and then we continue. This word yajna has several meanings, okay? So one meaning is ijyate iti yajna, means act of worship, can be yajna. It comes from the root yaj. Ijyate anena asau iti yajna. The altar of worship is also called yajna. Yajjati iti yajna. One who worships is also called yajna. So yajna can mean act of worship. Yajna can mean altar of worship. Yajna can also mean one who worships. So that's a very beautiful thing about Sanskrit. So here, first we will take one meaning and then we will do another meaning. First meaning we will take is yajna as God. In the commentary of Adi Shankaracharya ji, he says yajna is Vishnu. And in Vishnu Sahasranama also, one of the names of Bhagavan is Yajna. His name is Yajna. Now, why is Bhagavan Yajna or worshipful? If you think about it, everything that we worship is actually God. What do you mean? I'm not worshiping God. See, what is the definition of Bhagavan? Bhagavan means the one who has these 6 bhagas, 6 parts. What are they? Aishwaryasya samagrasya dharmasya yashasa shriyaha vairagyasya mokshasya sharnam bhaga itirana. So the first one is Aishwarya. Aishwarya means all kinds of wealth and glory. The one who has this Aishwarya, wealth and glory to full capacity. Maybe you can take wealth, you can take glory here because we have Shri, so glory to its full capacity. Then dharma to the full capacity. Then 3, yashaha, fame to the full capacity. Shri, wealth to the full capacity. Vairagya, dispassion to the full capacity. And moksha to the full capacity. So the one who has these 6 in full capacity, that is called Bhagavan or Bhagavati. So if you think about it in life, what do we worship? We worship wealth. We worship power. We worship fame, right? We worship wealth, we worship power, we worship fame, we worship karma. So actually, whatever we're worshiping or whoever we're worshiping, we're only worshiping God, because God is the embodiment of all of these things in full measure. So when we say yajna here, means do the karmas for God. Do the karmas as a worship to God who is the most worshipful. Now, what does it mean to do karmas as a worship to God who is most worshipful? That we will see next week. Okay? So next week we will explore more on verse number 9, and then we'll move forward. Now I will just recap what we've done today, and then we will go through any questions anybody has. Today, where we started with a love story. A love story that all of us go through in all kinds of relationships that we have. And it's really the stages of first questioning, where we just question about life, question about what we're doing, where we are, what is there in life, what is more, what am I missing? The second stage is what we call learning. We slowly start learning about who we are. What is this world? Why have we come? What is our purpose in life? Slowly we start learning. And then the third stage is slowly we start knowing that. We know for sure. Now we have no doubt. We know who we are. We know why we're here. And then the fourth stage is just being. So the whole life is just this journey. It's just this journey. And how Lord Sri Krishna has presented to us is first, it starts with Karma Yoga, and slowly one unfolds into Jnana Yoga. And he clarified this to Arjuna because Arjuna wanted to go into Jnana Yoga right away. But Lord Sri Krishna said, no, wait, it's a process of evolution. And don't think that, renunciation is actionlessness, not doing anything. Renunciation is renouncing the very ego, renouncing the sense of doership. And to be able to renounce the sense of doership, one has to be engaged in a lot of doership, a lot of action. Then slowly one gets purified to renounce that doership itself. Okay, so then if that's what I have to do, what should I do? First, you start by performing your niyata karma, and you do that as a worship of God in the attitude of karma yoga. And that's where we are now. And next week, we will see very beautifully how this world was created, with what spirit was this world created, and how are we really meant to live together. So we stop here. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Okay, wonderful. So, pause for a moment.